NodeMaven sells $3.99 for 24 hours of mobile. That's a genuinely low-risk way to test their pool. But their Singapore IPs come from peer agreements, not owned hardware. If your work touches SingPass or DBs, that matters. Here's the breakdown. Most vendor comparisons treat Singapore as a checkbox. This one doesn't. The audience here is running SG-targeted work. Fintech app testing, ad verification on Grab or Shopee SG multi-account workflows that need a real SG mobile network footprint. Both NodeMaven and SMP are legitimate. The question is which fits your job. Point to three things. 1. Where NodeMaven is genuinely better. 2. Where SMP wins on SG carrier work. 3. Pricing math at 3 volumes. The IOTA, main body, where NodeMaven is genuinely better. NodeMaven's real strength is geographic breadth. Pooled residential with global reach. If your workflow requires IPs across dozens of countries in the same pipeline, that pool architecture is the right shape. SMP doesn't try to compete on global breadth. One country-owned modems, that's the product. The GB-based pricing model fits irregular consumption. If your traffic is high volume bursts followed by quiet periods, paying per gig means you're not carrying idle port costs through slow months. The $3.99 trial for 24 hours is a real low-friction way to evaluate quality. NodeMaven positions itself at the higher end of pooled residential quality, which matters if you've been burned by cheap providers selling already flagged IPs. If Singapore is 5% of your traffic and you need 20 other geos covered, NodeMaven's breadth and pool depth are worth paying for. Where SMP is genuinely better. The differentiator for SMP is hardware ownership. Real SIM-equipped modems inside Singapore on Singtel, StarHub, M1 and Vivify cards. When you connect through an SMP port, the IP resolves to one of those carrier ASNs because it's literally routed through that carrier's network. No reseller layer, no IP broker, no source from partners pool. Carrier ASN purity. Translates directly into fingerprint stability. Each port is a physical modem on a single SIM. The ASN, carrier name, and geolocation stay consistent across requests on the same sticky session. Pooled networks, even high-quality ones, can rotate through IPs that appear to originate from different carriers or slightly different geolocations within a session. For targets that cross-reference ASN, carrier name, and IP reputation simultaneously. SingPass DB's net banking grabs merchant verification. That consistency is not a nice-to-have. Zero the SG carrier IP question. Singapore's major digital platforms apply IP scrutiny that's genuinely different from most other markets. SingPass does not just check that an IP is Singaporean. It checks the carrier. DB's OCBC, UOB all have fraud detection layers that flag IP to device fingerprint mismatches. The structural issue with pooled residential for this use case is not about quality. It's about what a Singapore IP actually means in a pooled context. A global provider acquires IPs through various partnerships and SDK-based sourcing. The resulting Singapore slice may include real SG mobile users, but ASEAN consistency is not guaranteed. Though ASEAN purity means every IP from a given SMP port resolves to one of 4 SG carrier ASEANs. Singtel ASEAN 7473, StarHub ASEAN 9506, M1 ASEAN 8529, or Vivify. No ambiguity, because the routing is physical. Pricing marked at 3 volumes. Though ASEAN P ports give unlimited bandwidth on a physical modem, 500 gigs to 2 ports saturates the cellular connection and quality degrades, so unlimited has a practical ceiling set by hardware. NodeMaven bulk plans frequently come with discounts that make per gig rates lower than entry tiers. Honestly, at light volume prices are comparable. At medium volume, the port model looks better for SG specific work. At heavy volume, you need a custom conversation with both vendors. Migration. NodeMaven to SMP. Multiple ports how? 3 things to recalibrate. 1. Replace session ID and username with port allocation. 2. Dial back concurrency 20 to 30% during the first few days. 3. A/B test the actual workflow against both endpoints for a few days. Compare success rates on your real targets, not synthetic benchmarks. Resignoedas everything by use case. Wake up by T at D11. Multi-geo workflows. SG is one country among many. NodeMaven septet ezigular. Consumption pattern. NodeMaven septet ezigular. Sing itu spacer. Evaluating with a paid micro trial. NodeMaven septet Singapore specific. ASN sensitive. Then pace. DB/OCBC. UOB. Grab merchants. SMP. Consistent ASN on every request. SMP. Port-based predictable bill. SMP. NodeMaven is solid for multi-geo work where SG is one slice. SMP is the right call when SG is the whole job. Against Gala, Optimaven and your SG conversion is patchy. The next step is not more retries. Spin up a 2-hour SMP trial at singaporemobileproxy.com/client. Trial. No card. Dedicated Singtel, StarHub, M1 or Vivify modem. On a paid plan, use YT30 for 30% off month 1. If SG is 20 countries among many, keep NodeMaven for the rest. For SG-specific operator work, real hardware on real SIMs is the only thing that resolves to a real SG carrier ASN. That does help. Subscribe. Next video is WebShare versus SMP. WebShare is way cheaper and we'll talk honestly about when that's the right call.